Hello everyone and welcome to our first joint top 10. My name is Scarface, King, joined today by Mr. Teacup. Say hello.
Hello there, guys.
And this is, seeing as it's Mother's Day, I know not universally Mother's Day, it's Mother's Day here in the UK. Which is, this is where we live, so American Mother's Day can do whatever they do. We're going to do our thing and we're just going to be cool, okay? We're going to do our top 10 mums in anime.
Of course, in anime. Gosh, not a top 10 mums.
Anime is all we really know. Like, we're not going to be talking about real life mums, talking about the Queen and stuff like that. Like, actual anime mums. The only real criteria for this list is to not be awful, really. When we were doing our research, we kind of figured out that the majority of anime mums are just awful.
Or dead.
Or dead, yeah, exactly. So, without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of our 10 through 6s, get those out of the way, and then we're going to get into the real juicy bits. We're going to go through piece by piece on the 5 through 1. I think that's the best way to do it. Alright, so to get us started, how about you go first with your number 10?
My number 10 is Hinata from Naruto. Big boobies. She has a kid called Boruto. Is it Boruto? Is that his actual
Boruto, it's like Bolt.
Bolt, okay. Well, the reason I'm picking her because she has a kid that gets his own anime or manga, so she created that. She's the source of that, and well, as I said, big boobies.
Okay, well, my number 10 is Jolene's mum from Stone Ocean, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I've looked everywhere. I can't find her name. I don't think it's ever said in the manga. Obviously, the anime hasn't happened, so I don't know. But yeah, she had to put up with a lot of shit, and I think she did a pretty good job. Admittedly, her daughter did end up in jail. These things do happen. But her father was off gallivanting about, trying to study fish and that.
Starfish.
Starfish, writing his dissertation on starfish, and yeah, I think she did the best with what she could, and
I agree.
Deserving of the 10th spot.
Alright then, but my number 9 is Orihime from Bleach. I think you know why. Big boobies, but she was actually a really good character in the Bleach series. I think there was going to be a lot more development with her, but because they had to end it, she ends up with Ichigo and they have a kid together, so I think she deserved the 9th spot.
Fair enough.
Can't say much about her. She didn't do anything wrong. She was really one of those nice characters.
Coming in at number 9 for me is one you've already said. Your number 10 is Hinata. Slightly different reason than what you gave. She's basically a single mother. She has 2 kids, Boruto and Himawari. And Naruto's just off, being the Hokage and whatnot. And he's a busy man, He doesn't have time to raise his children. And she's got to put up with that. And if you're if you're pretty strong yourself and your husband is the Hokage, then chances are your kids are pretty strong as well. That's something you're going to have to deal with. And as a single mother with 2 kids, essentially, I think she's doing a pretty good job.
Pretty good job. And she's got big boobies.
God damn.
Alright, for my number 8 is Ash's mum from Pokemon. A very iconic mother. Probably one of the first anime I ever watched. And, she got the whole ball rolling the whole Pokemon universe. She sent little Ash off to go to Professor Oak, who she probably ended up with. They got together afterwards. Sent her son off onto the wonderful world of adventure, who he's been adventuring for the past 20 years and hasn't aged a day. I think she did a pretty good job.
Okay, at number 8, I have Yuriko Goda from Ore Monogatari, My Love Story. If you've seen this woman, and you have seen her son, you know what a trial it was just to give birth to him. He is unbelievably tall and unbelievably broad, and just getting through childbirth alone was a struggle that any mother would have to go through and agonize over. But she's a good mum, she has a good son, and I think she seems like a very nice woman. And she's done a very good job of raising her son, and she has another son during the story, and it's a loving family. I think she's done a very good job.
Nice slice of life anime.
It is a nice slice of life anime.
Alright, for my number 7, this is quite an ancient anime. This is probably one of the worst animes I ever watched back in the day on Toonami, way back. It's Washu from Tenchi Muyo. And she's an interesting character. She's basically an evil scientist who creates her own daughter. She's actually quite a loving mother, even though it's portrayed, she's not really at first, but she's a loving mother. And she also ends up being a god, so yeah, I think she deserves to be in the top 10. She's a good mother, pretty much the god of all. You know what? She's nice.
My number 7 is one you've actually gone over. This has happened again. Delia Ketchum. She's shown up a few times in the anime, most notably the first episode and that. But I'm talking even in Sun and Moon she shows up. She's in the first couple of episodes of that. She takes her son on a nice holiday to Hawaii that her Mr. Mime won for her in a lottery or something. That's a whole other thing, Mr. Mime's basically Ash's dad. I don't really...
She still has that Mr. Mime.
She still has that Mr. Mime, 20-something years later. What is that about?
That must be illegal in that universe.
But, despite the weirdness, she has raised her son. Well, not raised, because he's the same age. She's looked after her son, and it's hard being a mother to let your son go.
At 10.
Leave the nest, go out on his adventure. But... She's clearly set the foundations for him, and he's lived quite a long life. He's ready to die now, and I think she was a solid part in the foundations. Also, she's also immortal.
Yeah,
so
no, she doesn't age. She's Keanu. She's Keanu Reeves.
Also, Professor Oak's all
Smashing
up in that business.
And,
if it wasn't for that, Ash probably never would have got that Pikachu.
There you go.
There you go.
My number 6 is Kushina Uzumaki, another character from the Naruto franchise. This is Naruto's mother. I can't remember much about the actual story involving her, but basically her parents did die to basically save Naruto and stuff like that. But the scene in the anime where Naruto ends up actually meeting his mother, I believe it's through some sort of jutsu, something like that, was a very tearful moment, and it made me realise that she's a loving mother and she deserves to be on this list. And I felt so sorry for Naruto, man. I cried a manly tear that night.
My number 6 is Trisha Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. Brotherhood, I didn't actually watch the normal Full Metal Alchemist, but you don't see a lot of her. Well, I mean, you do in the first episode or so, but you don't see a lot of what she did. But she has 2 sons who loved her just so much. And bear in mind, she's essentially a single mother. Her husband, there's a whole thing about that, and we don't know if he's actually gonna be there to raise his children. He just fucks off to the middle of nowhere. And I genuinely think she did a good job of raising those kids. Maybe Ed could have done with a bit more milk or something, get the bones growing so you could maybe get those growth spurts going. But other than that, I think she did fantastic. And the way she went out maybe wasn't the most graceful, but these things happen. That's how anime goes. Like we said, this could easily have been a top 10 dead anime mums. So we'll take what we got. And yeah, Trish Elric, number 6.
We're going to go into the top 5 now. This is the best category. These are the top anime mothers at this illustrious channel. And for my number 5 is Granny Arena from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure franchise. And she is just badass. She survives that boat with Dio. Sadly, Jonathan died that day. But she pretty much raises Joseph by herself. Her poor son actually dies quite horribly. And she a lot of men have died in her life, but she went through. She died of dignity in old age. She deserves to be here.
My number 5 is Makunoichi Hiroko from Hajime no Ippo, a series that has been going on for a very long time, just over 1,000 chapters long. And she's been there, single mother. There's a lot of single mothers, or kind of single mothers on this list, I'm realizing. But that's because they're the ones that are putting in the effort, because her husband died to the sea. He was Mako Tsunami. He just he's gone now. She's got a son who he needs help from time to time. He needs you know, he was getting bullied at school, and then he went on to become a boxer, and it's something that she didn't really agree with. She was happy to let him go and chase his dream, but she didn't want him to become a boxer. She didn't want him coming home with beat up and bad, but she knew that it was making her son happy, and she didn't want to stop that. She didn't want to get in the way of that. And even when their business was struggling because of her ill health, you know, she really didn't want to trouble him. She didn't want to get him back to help, because she knew that it was important that he could keep going to training and getting better. And I gotta say, she must have the patience of a saint, because it has been over 1,000 chapters. He's barely moved anywhere near towards his goal, if there even is a goal at this point, you know. And it feels like he's just going to keep boxing forever, and she supports him, and she's doing a good job. I respect her.
Alright, for number 4, this is kind of a one I put here for a joke, but it's Piccolo. And Robert told me earlier that Piccolo is genderless, so I'm putting him here because he shows great motherly features. He single-handedly raised his enemy's son for a long-ass time, and that enemy, his son, respects him more than his actual father. Green dad is best dad, and green mum is best mum. Piccolo is number 1 in my books, and sadly he's only 4th here.
My number 4 is Midoriya Inko. She is the mother of Deku in Boku no Hero Academia. And, you know, I've got to say, it's got to be tough in a world full of superheroes where your son adores all these different powerful people, to try and be supportive of your son's decisions in life when you know and you've been told unequivocally he has no talent, he has no quirks, he will not be a hero. How crushing must that be? And then he does get a power in the end for a little bit of, you know, backhanded, dodgy dealing, you know, that's whatever. And he uses that power to try and become a hero and go to the Hero Academy, and you're scared, you're worried, you know. It's hard when your son wants to do something and you think he's probably gonna fail. He might die. Like, am I really gonna let this happen? But I think she makes the right decision. She lets him go off and study and try and become a hero. And, you know, honestly, she is like one of the nicest mothers you see. You know, she doesn't die, or she hasn't died yet anyway, which is a nice touch, because a lot of mothers do die in these series. And I think she's doing pretty good. I give her my number 4 spot.
Nice.
Nice.
Alright, for my number 3, we're getting serious now. Piccolo is a bit of a joke, but he's still good. It's Belmare, and she is pretty much going to be on everybody's list. Like, seriously, she was such a great mother. She is one of the only mothers in the One Piece franchise that I can actually remember. Like, we don't know, like, many other characters' mothers. She had a huge arc. She was absolutely amazing. Pretty much sacrificed herself for Nojiko and Nami at the hands of the Fishman Arlong. Still hate him to this day. She was a good character. She was once a Marine. Fantastic mother. It's sad to see her go. But as Robert said, all the good mothers in anime, they pretty much all die.
My number 3 is Masaki Kurosaki, the mother of Ichigo Kurosaki. If you haven't read the manga, minor manga spoilers here. We've kind of been doing spoilers all the way through, that's beside the point. Masaki's character, when it's introduced, she is absolutely adored by her family, by everybody in the family. Even her husband has this giant mural on the wall commemorating her. Sadly, by episode 1, she is dead. All anime mums that are even remotely good tend to die. But that's okay, because the story leading up to her death is an important one. So she ends up meeting her husband in a situation that's a little bit strange. She's actually being married off to another man, and in a strange turn of events, this man she meets ends up giving up his powers in order to let her live, which is strange, but it ends up working out between them, and they end up becoming quite close. They end up having 3 wonderful children, and she basically gives her life to save her son's life, which I think is quite a nice trait in a mother to have, you know, protecting her children, and I think that's well deserving of the third spot on the list.
For my number 2 spot is going to be Android 18 from the Dragon Ball franchise. Sadly, it's not Piccolo here, but she, out of all the mothers in the whole of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, she's actually probably the only good one. Like, all the others would probably get onto the top 10 worst anime mums list, but she seems to be a caring mother. She looks after her daughter. She loves her husband. Their little romance was actually kind of cool in the old Android saga. But what I like about her as well, she even encourages her husband to be strong and fight, unlike Chi-Chi, who basically wants her husband to sit at home and let the universe die. I liked Android 18. She was a good mother.
My number 2 is Nana Sawada from Katekyo Hitman Reborn. This choice pretty much made itself. This was easy. You see, once again, we've got a kind of single mother situation, although technically her husband is still about, except while she's in Japan raising their child, he's over in Italy, he's over doing jobs for the mafia, you know, he's got all kinds of stuff going on, and she's got to raise her kid, but you know what? It's kind of hard, because her kid's got a nickname, and it's Good for Nothing, and that's pretty much the story of his life up until the start of the anime. So she's got to put up with that kid. Now imagine having a kid that was good for nothing, and you've tried your best to support him, you know, you've got him a tutor to come in and teach him, and you're thinking, I want to help him, I want to help get him on track. And then out of nowhere, he ends up joining the mafia, and ends up going on all these wacky adventures, ends up with tons of underlings, essentially an entourage, coming back to the house every day, and you feed them and you look after them because you are a good mother and you're a good host, and you do your best to make your child happy. And then there's some pretty like messed up stuff towards the end of that series, but she is supportive throughout, and she takes care of her son, and the best part is she doesn't die. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And you know, just for not dying, I think she gets put up a couple of notches and she gets the number 2 spot. I respect her greatly.
Now it's time for the main event. It's the number 1, and you're all probably wondering, who's it going to be? Please don't judge me for this, because I'm a guy who's watched all of Clannad and Clannad After Story, and I'm giving it to Nagisa from Clannad. Sadly, she only got to be a mother for like a couple of minutes, because, spoilers, she dies in childbirth, but she would have been a great mum. A number 1 mum. Up until that point, she's one of the nicest characters, one of the nicest girls, ends up becoming one of the nicest wives, and it was a huge shock when she died. But she would have been an absolute loving mother to her daughter, and it was sad to see her go, but as we said, all anime mothers die, and she just followed through.
Now my number 1's actually already been said by Terry. It's actually Belle-Mère, Nami and Nojiko's mother. She takes the number 1 spot because she not only is a fantastic mum, not only gives her life for her children who she adopted, her children who, you know, she has no real connection to other than she found them, she felt responsible for them. She gets the award because she is one of the only likable Marines in the entire franchise. Why I can understand the principle that there always has to be an antagonist in a story, and the Marines are the antagonists. But why are so many of them just complete arses when you do have characters who are redeemable, who are members of this like military that want to do good? And you know, I guess it kind of makes sense. She did retire from the Marines seemingly to go and live her life and, you know, have her tangerine fields, raise her children. And goddamn, she had to die. She had to die, and that's a shame. But you know, I think she did a fantastic job up till that point. Nami and Nojiko both are living quite fulfilling lives, seemingly. And yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anybody else more deserving of number 1. So there it is. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Obviously, shout out to our mums who definitely are not watching this, but if they do stumble across it one day...
Please don't ever!
Hey mum, Thank you. Love you.
I'm sorry, I'm such a disappointment.
If you have watched this far, do let us know who you would put as your like top 10 anime mums, or even just your number one, and let us know if there's any you disagree with on here, which I'm sure there'll be some.
If anybody says Pickler, I'll fight them, alright?
Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's video, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye!